This year marks the 15th anniversary of the Santa Fe International Folk Art Market. The market has brought nearly 1,000 master artists here from around the world, and most of the money in sales goes back home with the artists to help their communities. Correspondent Megan Kamerick sat down with the market CEO and two of the artists who will be at this year's market.
The Santa Fe International Folk Art Market is more than a place to buy goods. It also offers mentoring, business workshops, and support for continuing innovation of various crafts. I'm joined today by CEO Jeff Snell, who joined the organization in 2015. Also, Porfirio Gutierrez is originally from Mexico. He's a master weaver with roots in the Zapotec tradition. And Chanta Nguyen from Cambodia. She runs the Stung Treng Women's Development Center. It teaches the art of ikat silk weaving. Jeff, let me start with you. We live in a time of increasing automation all over the world. Why is the handmade still important and relevant?
I think there's a revisiting of what the human dignity looks like in the handmade and the art and craft, the techniques and materials passed on through generations, and how we honor that. I also, just based on the market goer surveys, people delight in understanding more about themselves and their own cultural heritage based on what they see expressed by others, that in fact we're all part of the same human family around the world. So the market becomes a big embrace of that, a big celebration around human dignity, raising up capacity within individuals to be self-sufficient, and not to put a shockwave across the mass fashion industry, but I would pay very close attention to this, because the idea of owning a mass-produced luxury item that looks like every other mass-produced luxury item, a $5,000-$6,000 purse, $500-$600 purse, that's going away. And people want the story. They want to interact with the artisan, understand what's being imparted through that particular expression of the folk art in this case, and then take that, know that it's one of a kind. There's only one of that, because it's all handmade, start to finish, and then share that story with others about how they sustained the community impact that I think we're about to hear from these two amazing examples of that.
Chanta, your organization has focused on training women in ikat silk weaving. Why is this kind of weaving an important part of Cambodia's history?
Because after the civil war in Cambodia, or as the world knows, Khmer Rouge genocide, our traditional art of weaving has been wiped out. And after the war, one last survived master weaver survival was found by Mr. Morimoto, a Japanese reporter, came to Cambodia. So that's since Mr. Sam Eun was found, that's how all the traditional art was revived after the year zero.
From one man?
From one man, yeah.
And how does your project help women who are learning this weaving find a better life?
We work with women who never been to school in their lives. So to learn something with high tech or more difficult, and it's kind of impossible to change their life. And what we can provide them is a very small education of 1 year literacy, a bit of read and write, and then basic mathematics. And so in order to revive our art, I just add 1 + 1 into 2, at least the weaver has some small knowledge. And we want to revive the lost art of our country, so I just put them on weaving, making revive the lost art, and it turned out they became the very, very good weavers of Cambodia nowadays.
How does this help them earn money for the community, for families?
To change their life, they have to be, to get out of poverty, that's for sure, they have to be financially independent in their life. And so we focus on, it is my idea, if we have to find some good income for them, we have to produce something very high quality. And then we have to sell it to the very high-end market. And in in return the sales to the high-end market in the Western country, in Japan, in USA, the income will be for them to enough to live their life, and we can call them get out of poverty, and then they can support their children to go to school. So that's the next generation will not live the life of their parents.
Porfirio, you come from a long line of Zapotec weavers. Why is weaving such an important part of your culture and history?
Well, weaving, it's like the symbols that we weave into our designs, and it's like my native language. That's how we earn our livings.
And what challenges do weavers like yourself face in preserving this craft?
The mass market, the cheaper and faster weavings that's coming out of different, in this case, in my community, that are chemical dyes. It's very tough to compete with something like that. That it's flooded, the market's flooded with those things. And just Jeff mentioned it, it's, just like the fast fashion.
Yeah, talk about your dyeing process. I know you mentioned the chemical dyes, and you specifically have gone back to a traditional natural dye.
Our family continuing to use natural dyes, not as extensively as we are today, but the natural dye aspect of our craft, it's very important. It's labor intensive. The knowledge has to be there, and you have to be passionate about to keep learning and keep practicing these old ways of creating color. You have to be, like I said, passionate about it, and it takes days or weeks to create only one color.
That does very labor intensive. Jeff, the economic impact of the market and the local community in Santa Fe is pretty extensive.
Yes, it is. We celebrate the 1.1 million lives, and now with the successful market coming up this year, we will tip into about $30 million that has gone home with the artists, equipping them to be these catalysts for social change and benefiting their communities. But in Santa Fe, that's more than $140 million since inception.
My.
And that adds up. And what's really fun is when we do the reconciliation and the payout with the artists, there are two places that are very popular in Santa Fe on the Monday and Tuesday after market. And that is usually a drugstore, pharmaceuticals, ibuprofen, and then also things like electronics or a home goods store.
Oh,
so
really?
There's a lot of money that is put in the hands of the artists, and they say, "I'll be right back," and spend it because these things are not available in other parts of the world. So we just take it for granted.
Interesting.
So there's that spending on top of what we know through a third party, the tourism dollars, if you will, of people coming into town and also going out to eat, et cetera. So average per year is about $14.5 million. Over time, as I say, it's been over $140 million.
In addition to spending on electronics and home goods, when you two take the money back to your communities, what does that mean? What has that meant for your communities over the years?
I think in my case, 100% of sales, I always register to wire back to Tân Trang Women's Development Center. So if I buy something electronic, it has to be my own pocket.
What have they done with the money back in Cambodia?
So we use that money, and part of it we paid for the weavers, and each piece we pay by how intensive the work. So the more harder they work, the higher they receive. And part of it we pay, we buy back the raw material, and 40% of the income will be covered for the social program. We have kindergarten, we have health center, we have school sponsorship from grade 1 to grade 9 for 100 children. We have a free lunch program. We have computer lab and English class for younger people.
Porfirio, what about your community in Mexico?
Well, immediately, the needs are, it's biomaterials, have enough, especially the cochineal insect and indigo are extremely expensive and are hard to find. So secure materials which it also affects these people's life. Being able to buy their cochineal or their indigo, it's extremely important for them. That's how they feed their family. So that's immediate. In the long run, the idea is to create an art center or artist house in the village that is community, that engages the community and the artists of the world, as well as a dye garden.
Ooh, a dye garden with all the plants you use.
With all
for
the plants,
dye.
yeah. I think for us it's very important because this is also tackle the environmental issues, the climate changes that we're facing today in our community, where if we don't have enough dyes, that will definitely affect of the colors that we create for our weavings. And at least that will be more sustainable of being able to have a piece of land for us to actually grow our own dyes and to also engage the community and the young kids in the community for them to learn about their heritage and what was inherited to them by our forefathers.
Chanta, how do you work with your weavers to learn traditional craft but also allow for innovation?
We establish a center so that we can teach them, but at the same time we have the kindergarten nearby to take care of their children, and we send their older children to school. So we are able to control the quality, and we teach them the center belongs to them, not to us. So if they take care of the center, if they work hard, and if they produce the good, the best quality, we are able to sell to the best market for them. So that's the mentality. We teach them how to be the leader of themselves.
What has it been like to meet the demands of the international market? Is that different? What does that entail?
My understanding is if we sell our traditional part into the West country, that will be home decoration, and that's once in a lifetime maybe. So I was thinking of how we use the traditional, but at the same time we can sell it again and again into Western country. It means I have to use the traditional art and make it into Western style and into the shawl, the scarf, and using the color that it fit in every country. And I spent my 3 years to study about tourists came from what country by what color. So that's how, for my 3 years, I create 250 colors into a scarf. Yeah.
Porfirio, is it different meeting the demands of the international buyer?
It is difficult because of the process, but for what we're trying to do is to actually create a language that speaks and that pays homage to the traditional knowledge and the motifs in my community, and also recognize the incredible Mother Nature of the color that the Mother Nature provides. It is tough to mass produce. It is tough. We've been working for pieces for these market for about 5 months now, and I'm probably bringing 30 pieces. That's probably the maximum I bring in, or maybe a little bit more. But the idea with that, though, is for people to come and learn the process, but also the inspiration, all this wisdom that indigenous culture from around the world has, and if there's a way that we could show it visually, is through our work.
You focus on a very traditional way of doing the weavings, but you also have innovations in your designs, right? In terms, so you're grounded in tradition and yet looking to the future.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I don't use the word innovation within my work. Instead, it's a personal expression. It's just like any other artist, that it takes time for you to find your own expression, your own language within your medium. And that's the same thing I'm doing, is using the very traditional aspect of natural dye and even some of the historical materials like plant fibers in my weavings. So the wool was brought to us by the Spanish 500 years ago. But it's paying homage to these old ways of making them in the process. From there, I begin to meditate and conversate much about art, my tradition, my identity, ceremonials, and it gets into my weavings. And there's work that shows on exhibition, solo shows like at museums and galleries. And then there's other second part of what I do, which is still one of a kind. It's like the work that we're showing at the Folk Art Market.
Jeff, you've come from a background in social innovation and philanthropy before you came to Santa Fe. Why is entrepreneurship and social enterprise more effective at helping communities than traditional philanthropy? In some ways?
The language I use is conventional charity models. And I had the good fortune of being hired by a family to build $1 billion foundation, which would have put us into the top 12 or so in the country. There is not enough money to throw at a social problem and hope that there's a good outcome and a sustainable solution. That was my takeaway. That's just me speaking very transparently and openly. So what I learned was that if you work alongside, as invited, with folks embedded in their communities, and then you're invited to be part of their journeys as they create that positive social change. Chantha's model was first born out of watching women coming out of trafficking who were sick and dying of AIDS. So how does she build an enterprise-based solution to care for those women? What assets does she have? So there's not a deficit-mindedness. Right out of the gate, Chantha's thinking, what do we have that is robust? And there's the craft, this beautiful expression, and she's expert at it. So to take that asset and leverage it to the point that it creates benefits for the community in the ways that she's been kind to describe, who wouldn't want to be part of that? And that's a sustainability and an impactfulness that is rare in conventional charity models. Conventional charity models, and I've also come out of the social service sector, there's too often, again, just my perspective, too often an emphasis on building a market share around the problem, having more people that you serve, and then raising more money and more money and more money, and then wondering why conditions never change. So to come alongside the embedded agent within a community who thinks differently about how to, and actually Chantha, just we were talking earlier, how to work herself out of a job. And so folks are less dependent on her and more autonomous, more self-sufficient. To me, that's the true spirit of philanthropy. That's the love of humanity, to set people free and be more self-sufficient in their own path, discovering their own gifts and skills, not more dependent on you, which again I think is one of the pitfalls of conventional charity models. So for me, it was such a labor of love to find out that there was an organization that worked with masters of their craft, experts, best of from their mediums from their countries and their points around the world, and to come alongside them to do more impactfulness. It's just joyful. And I think that's why the market is held up as the best arts festival in the country, because people come and see, and we know this from the surveys of market goers, they want to see, talk to the artists, pick up the product, understand the story, and then the next big takeaway is, so what happens when you go home? They love those stories because it's a catalytic consumerism. It's not just a one-off. Now you know that you're actually creating positive change around the world. It's not a mass-produced item, that dignity is being affirmed and honored. And that's why I think this work with artisan social entrepreneurs is so beautiful, and not just more charity.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming and talking about this, the 15th Annual Folk Art Market in Santa Fe.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.